Hey guys, welcome in, welcome in. So, as you saw already in our post, today is a solo outing of the Super Cinema Brothers podcast. Podcast. All right, so it is me here with you guys, Josiah. Shout out hellos in the chat if you want. This is going to be a little bit of a super short version, talking about this movie, a big, a big, bold, beautiful journey. I saw this movie just a couple of days ago. Saw it with my wife, but yeah, let me get into that in just half a second. See, I'm already uh trying to control myself in the conversation. Walk with me, guys. Walk with me. So, Austin is not here with us tonight. I won't divulge the details of hey, Genobi 21. I won't divulge the details of the reasoning for why he's not here. He is okay. But may your thoughts and prayers be with him, be with his family, and yeah, hopefully he'll be able to join us again later on this week or next Monday. Yes, it's just a temporary pause. It's a singular episode in which I'm doing things a little bit solo to fill in the gap a bit. But he will definitely be with us again as soon as possible. There's no beef or anything happening behind the scenes in which he's not in the situation anymore. So yeah, please keep him in prayer. He'll be back with us soon. Who knows? Maybe he'll drop by the chat or something like that. From wherever he's at. Potentially, no promises. But let's get into it. So, speaking here about this little here movie, a big, bold, beautiful journey, exclusively in theaters currently right now with Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. They've invited you. So yeah, this movie just came out this past weekend. I watched it, like I was saying, with my wife. We do have a little bit of a strategy of sorts. We do have a newborn, and let's just say our newborn has not seen maybe like three movies or something right now. So you parents out there, I don't know what it is. Look, it's possible. Pick the second row, pick a time during the day in which barely anyone's there. And actually, the babies sleep pretty well. At least ours slept pretty well through the movie. Um, no one has been bothered. No one has been frustrated in any way, shape, or form. So back to it. This is a film that came to my attention through a friend, actually, who did get to work on this project. I will not divulge that secret information either. But yeah, I remember hearing about it. Maybe what, a year ago? Maybe a little less than a year ago. And my friend was working on it in the area. Seemed to be having a good time about it. Was excited about the project, and all I knew was that Margot Robbie was attached to it, and it was going to come out around this time period. Come to find out later, Colin Farrell's in it as well. That said, I think my friend had a fun time working on the project. It will not dictate what I communicate to you about this film. Now, let me go give a little quick breakdown of the film, and I'm gonna we'll use Wikipedia's description of it to keep it a little bit simple here. It says the story is about a pair of strangers and the unimaginable journey that ties them together. David, Colin Farrell, and Sarah, Margot Robbie, find themselves on a funny, fantastical adventure where they get to relive important moments from the past and possibly alter the future. Their future. Okay, so this is the non spoilers section of my review, my thoughts on this movie. And if you guys have seen the movie also, please comment and talk to me about it a little bit. I'll try and get those comments a little bit on the way. If not, closer to the end of the review, I'll go through and respond to the majority. Now, yeah, so this movie is obviously a romantic movie. I think it's probably best considered romantic drama. I believe the director Kongo Nada, yes, I believe is potentially Korean American director. Mm-mm-mm. Maybe no. American filmmaker, but he was born in Seoul, South Korea, and then wound up being raised in Indiana and Chicago. So it sounds like he came over when he was younger. Uh, I've never seen any of his other pictures or shorts or whatever. I get the feeling, and you probably do as well. Get the feeling this movie is intended to be bit more is not intended, but is in actuality a bit more of an indie, and that's such a broad term, but indie hit. He's not a gigantic director, and in fact, in the movie, I think things are portrayed and there are directorial choices made that work more typically in something that is smaller budget, a little bit more indie, not like a big gigantic blockbuster film that's trying to rake in all of the money possible. Now, yeah, so romantic drama. That's kind of description of it. And I thought it was nice. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't the most amazing romantic film I've ever seen. It wasn't the most terrible, film I've ever seen. I think it was nice, and I think it specifically will reach individuals. I don't know that the way that it's presented in the story overall is necessarily going to reach every last person that winds up watching it. A part of my mind felt as if it was a little bit subdued across the film, a little bit serious, um, not your classic, rom com that's going to be hitting every single beat and going to be hitting it with joyful like pop music or something, or moody, Taylor Swift music or something like that. It's not the Summer I Turned Pretty kind of a feel at all. It's definitely a more adult film. It's definitely a film that is trying to either use less words to convey thoughts and feelings. It's a movie that's trying to represent these emotions of connection and love and loss and potential for taking chances in the future in more of a, not eclectic, but more of a complex sort of a way. And I don't know that it necessarily, I think it leaves a good amount for the audience to potentially fill in themselves, or at least find a way to connect to the movie. And so maybe that's one thing I'll say. I think the film, if you're able to find a way to connect to any particular events that transpire or scenario, or just are able to kind of like step into the shoes and find some level of familiarity, or at least appreciation for kind of handling things in a less direct way, you may wind up liking this movie quite a bit. But that said, it does, like I said earlier, it does do some artsy depictions of things. So if you're someone that wants to go on a stereotypical standard adventure, romantic adventure, in which everything is more or less laid out and explained to you in a very kind of direct way, or at least classical way, then yeah, potentially not for you. And I have heard, and I tried to not let it fully affect my thoughts, but I've heard that people maybe didn't feel the chemistry between the two main actors, and I think that is obviously valid, and I think I can kind of understand it a little bit. Maybe that connects a bit to how I say the movie feels kind of subdued. There's a level of, this isn't the first. I mean, it's very obvious. This isn't the first romantic encounters for either of the characters. So they are intentionally wanting to depict people that have been through, I don't know, at least 10 to 20 years, if not if not more possibly, of romantic encounters, whether that was back in high school or all the way up into 30s, maybe early 40s. I don't remember the specific ages of the characters, David and Sarah, but my guess is they're supposed to be in their mid 30s or something like that. If not, very early for 40s. I mean, it could be exactly the age of like Margot Robbie, which I think is maybe in her late 30s or something. So with that, I think the film assumes that the audience has experienced a good amount as well. And so this is, I guess this is mild spoiler. I won't get into greater spoilers till a few minutes from here. When the characters meet each other, it is in a sort of very standard, stereotypical kind of setup. But the characters, they kind of more or less immediately sort of like fall for each other. It's like it's in their eyes, it's in their interaction. In the movies, in a way, it's almost assumed that they're liking each other, that they're digging each other. Austin says the title sounds like a euphemism for a burrito eating contest. Well, you know what? Look, if that's what this movie was going to be, let's just say Oscar worthy may be in the phrases that are thrown out, but it's not exactly that film. Now, interestingly enough, and it's totally separate from that, there's an almost anime aspect to this film. It feels like very obviously, and okay, let me wrap up my non-spoiler section, and then I'll get into this thing where I'm leading into right now. So, if you're a fan of, The Summer I Turned Pretty, Bridgerton, The Gilded Age, all I guess those are all pretty disparate. They're all in the romantic comedy drama genre, but they're on vastly different spectrums of things. Summer I Turned Pretty is teens to young adults. Things are everything is fresh, new. They're experiencing everything for the first time. And I was explaining for this movie, and Gilded Age, those other films, period piece stuff, old time kind of scenarios. You have a range of older romance, younger romance, and stuff like that. Potentially a little more nuanced at times, not as nuanced at times. This film, combination of it also, but I think, like I was saying before, it expects the audience to have already experienced love, I think, and understand what that would be for somebody in their mid-30s, in their early 40s, and what that could be, especially if things hadn't panned out exactly the way you wanted it to at that point. You're saying I'm going solo, spitting straight bars. Well, we try here. Let me let a nice long pause of no bars just sit in there right now. All right. We miss you, Austin. We need you. But the show must temporarily go on. You guys will just appreciate how terrible no, I'm just joking. You guys hopefully appreciate this solo outing. But we'll welcome Austin back and be like, we wish you were never gone. Things are 1,000 times better with your presence and your green background. I mean, you can't just do it only blue background. Come on, guys. Come on. So, yeah, wrapping it up for the non-spoilers. I would say, I think this film it's the type of film that if you've experienced certain specific experiences that relate to the characters, or if you can at least appreciate the artistic perspectives and how they wind up moving the characters through a potential relationship, or at least getting to know each other, you may wind up liking this film. And I think it's something that, because of those artistic choices, it's laid a few obstacles in the way for someone that just wants to sit back, wants to feel all of the butterflies build up inside somebody as they fall in love with each other. There are some moments of that, but it's not that kind of a film. And I think I don't know. I haven't paid deep attention to the type of marketing campaign this had, but very opposite spectrum of The Notebook. Um, and if you guys are too young to know what that is, I mean, I'm sure your moms or dads or older siblings probably would be able to fill you in better on that. But more or less, that that movie, The Notebook, it goes through all of the different motions and steps to really kind of like earn the, or quote unquote earn the relationship. But this one, yeah, I think I can completely understand someone being like, I don't know if I fully believed the romance between the characters, because they kind of go from zero. They have their initial meeting and kind of like momentary infatuation. You got their own, it's not, I guess, quite a meet cute scenario. I'm not going to try to use that in the correct terms, but they have attraction between the two of them, and I mean they acknowledge it, but they don't let it just kind of like take them over in the moment. So I can actually appreciate some of the how this does approach relationship in a way that's not like I saw him, I've loved him ever since for the moment I saw him. Which, spoilers. Technically, there maybe is a little bit of that. At the end of the day. Now, silence is still a bar, though. Oh my gosh. You're correct. You're correct about that. Yeah. Holding the beat, man, it's definitely intentional, man. Well, I'll try to do a little bit better next time. No. Look, I'm running this solo, guys, as you know. This is the first time I've really done this. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with it, but you guys will help me be more comfortable. Thank you for joining me. Now, uh, so yeah, I'd say if you are somebody that's maybe watched what was the name of there was a Korean film I just watched last year. Was it last year? Oh, the director that made The Materialists, that came out this summer, which I have not caught yet. I do need to go back and watch it. She made, let me look it up really fast. All right, so this was Celine Song. She made The Materialist, but her movie prior to that was Goddess, Richard. Give me Past Lives. Yeah. So it reminds me a little bit of Past Lives in that. Well, it's adults depicting romance. Now this one, um, hmm, yeah, I think I'll just go back to saying if you find a way to connect with this movie while it progresses, then you may wind up appreciating it. I can't say that you'll necessarily appreciate the whole thing. You may wind up appreciating a sequence or two, but I did have to consciously make a decision to be like, okay, I know what they're doing and what they're attempting to do here. I'll go along for the ride. It didn't necessarily just reach me on a purely like emotional level, in which maybe romance movies should, but I mean, as with everything, it's going to be subjective. Some people subjectively are really drawn to K dramas, even though those follow the strictest script nowadays and have for decades basically. If you've watched one K drama, you're more or less going to know how that was going to happen in any other, which is true of non K dramas and American dramas, like I'm talking about with The Notebook. You can more or less guess how things are going to transpire in that sort of a movie. So yeah, let's get into some spoilers, okay? Let me finally crack this open. Austin first asked, "How will the furries feel about the film?" Bonus points for alliteration. Oh my goodness. He's challenging me in all the different ways. Thank you, Mr. Austin Allen. What? So, furries, I think we'll only appreciate this movie in the fact that it has some very direct connections to Suzume. Suzume was an anime that came out a couple years ago by Makoto Shinkai. I thought about it during the movie because there's a very direct connection. So basically, plot device. The characters are going on a journey. They're more or less shoehorned into a long road trip together. And they're following this Hal looking, Hal inspired slash, I don't know, 60s graphic inspired GPS AI that is leading them from one destination to another. There's a point in the movie in which the AI asks each of our main characters, because they have separate cars, if they want to go on a big, bold, beautiful journey. They both wind up accepting. David is our main character, so we really just see him accepting it. He has a moment of pretty much more or less breaking down, and his AI is like, "Do you want to go on a big, bold, beautiful journey? You tell me that you want to go on this journey. Like, give me all of the emotion that you can to express to me that you want to go on this journey." And they do a artistic thing where they cut to outside the car. We hear nothing, but we can see him yelling in the vehicle, "I want to go on this journey." Now, that then entails meeting back up with Sarah, who he had met earlier at a wedding and was flirting with, but did not dance with her, and so did not win her over there. She was wanting to dance with him, but he was not feeling it. It's not his thing. He potentially didn't want to embarrass himself, whatever it was. So sadly enough, she dances with another guy, and directors like being artsy fartsy moody like this. They wind up showing that he goes to bed in a room by himself, and very next door she's going to bed with some other guy. Awkward. Directors trying to be like, look, adults be adulting. They get in on with other people, they go to weddings, they hook up with people. Anyways, let me get back to the point. The anime connection. There are these doors, specific doors that are specific to each person's life that they come across on this road trip. So they get taken from one door to another, and at each door, each character's like, "Do you know this door? Oh no, I know this door. This is my door. This is the door to, my vacation that I went on, which was a lighthouse. This is a door to a bar, which they both recognize the door. This is a door to the auditorium of a high school, because it's obviously high school doors." So they depict them as these doors just sitting out in the middle of, a picturesque landscape that has nothing on either side. But when they open the door and go through the door, they're magically whisked away. So very much like Suzume, like 110% believe that this director slash writers had watched that film a couple years ago and were like, "Oh man, I want to put that into a live action story." And some people have pointed out that they felt like this movie wanted to be kind of an anime movie, but then wound up being live action. Now, I only assume they say that because of the connection to Suzume like that, and because, and I'll get to it more later, surprisingly, there's a big hitter Japanese composer that is attached to this movie. You may know it already. If you do, shout it out. I'll cover it in a little bit. So that's as far as I can say the furries will like this film. So for the freaking fleecing furries, fun will be felt solely by fantastical finagling doors. There's no F word for doors. I'm sorry, unless you guys can think of it and let me know. Help me out. You can throw it up in there. I tried. All right. I actually kind of did like that. I went into this film having not seen the trailers really, and I'm trying to do that more with films. So I was surprised by this fantastic reality kind of thing that was happening, and I think it's cool. I think it ultimately is. And I asked my wife, like, if I think they were literally going through these doors and being transported into another location. I think one can perceive it as yes. I think that I think someone can also perceive it as no. On a road trip, people just talk to each other about their experiences, and they specifically were willing to talk to each other about the biggest, most, you know, important moments in their life, romantically, relationally. Um, and so I think that was actually pretty cool. But again, I did to some degree have to tell myself uh, these characters are into each other and like each other. I think, you know, spoilers. For me, it's like I don't know that the "I love yous" are necessarily earned. Which I'm trying to remember. I believe they do say it, at least by the end of the movie. I don't know if it feels fully earned, but if I can put myself into the perspective of, even though I've been sitting with this movie for what was it, 2 hours or something like that, they're supposed to be on a trip for, I don't know, a day, a couple days, at least a couple days, and so you can actually get to know someone. It could be a series of days. You can get to know someone relatively well, and if you're already crushing on them, and if you're emotionally open and available to speaking with them and going through things, yeah, maybe it is believable that that's how a couple could discover each other. Now, it also doesn't say and they lived happily ever after by the end of the movie. It does. They essentially wind up saying, "I want to pursue at least the potential of being content with you." And see where that leads. And then it ends with them going into a door together, a new love journey chapter. Makes sense for, you know, all the doors they've been going through in the film. So this film has several different doors that they wind up going through, and one of the doors winds up being, I mean, they're all directly connected to their uh, to love, potential of love, love situation. I think the first one was the, oh no. I was about to say high school. So they wind up going to a high school. They wind up going to the cafe at one point. They wind up going into, oh, so yeah, the first one's like a lighthouse. So the first one, both characters are surprised about, you know, they find this door, they think it's kind of fascinating. They're like, I wonder who put it here. Open it up, surprised that they've gone to a new location. Maybe there could be a little bit more surprise that they've now entered into this trans-dimensional, intergalactic, you know, parallel reality folding kind of door. But I think, you know, because it's more or less a plot device for their emotional exploration, you know, they're surprised, but they kind of get the ball rolling. We understand what's going on, and yeah, we get a little bit of a look into Colin Farrell's David's perspective of things. He has this incredibly, almost, you know, almost cringy line, basically saying, "It's in the like most beautiful places that you wind up feeling the most alone," something like that. Which thankfully he is called out for by Sarah at a point later in the movie as well. Um, but I mean, look, who of us have not been to locations in which we've just broken up with somebody, just been broken up with somebody, are wanting to be in a relationship, are thinking about how amazing it would be to be here, with somebody standing next to you, experiencing life, experiencing the beauty of life, stepped away from the stresses of finance, the grind, achieving it, making it, being something special, whatever. Um, and so, yeah, I'm not gonna go through all the different doors, but they each wind up having individual doors, and so then you get a little bit of a connection, a little bit of a development, a little bit of a revelation from one character to another character. Um, One of the best ones is probably going back to in time, actually. David's high school, he winds up having to participate in a play in which he was the lead, and he wound up confessing love. And I think it's kind of fascinating, in which he takes part, steps back into the play. They throw up a one liner being like, "This is like Jason Bourne, where your body remembers even though you don't remember." So he steps back into the play. Um, yeah, and it's kind of cool, because I'm a sucker a little bit for plays and musicals and stuff like that. So I do seeing that a little bit, and it's kind of cool how he winds up more or less like breaking the timeline. He does what you would find in a Metal Gear Solid game as a he creates some time paradoxes in a way, in which his adult self is communicating future information and to the girl he's trying to win over. Now, here's one thing that kind of snags me a little bit. He knows that this girl that he's going to talk to turns him down, and he's heartbroken. But I don't know if it's because like while he's in it, his mind is like partially in the past again. It's a bit of a weird scenario. He basic so Margot Robbie Sarah basically says like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to talk to. You don't have to confess. You know what's gonna happen. Like, why are you trying to like pursue the same path? And he basically says that he has to. And his character feels as if he's kind of like stepped into the past a little bit. So that's what I'm saying. It's not fully clear if he's like fully his adult self, but he's swayed by the past. I think ultimately what the director and the writers are trying to convey is that his love for her was genuine, was unique to the point where, given the scenario again, he would try again. Now, whether that, and so for some people that may ring true. Some people they place directly into a past scenario in which they're with somebody they really liked. This is high school, so one can make your arguments on whether it's actually love or not. But let's say that for the scenario that it is, he is 20 potentially years past this point, past this relationship opportunity, past that heartbreak moment, and he goes for it again. Now, would a adult that is like lived with that moment and hopefully grown from that moment 20 years past still step into the same opportunity as if his love was just as strong, as hot as it was before? I personally don't think that I would make that choice. Um and maybe that's that one could feel like, oh, that's like a hardness of my adult heart or something like that. But the way he goes about it, in which he's bringing information beyond like what's there, it's very much like he's honestly trying again, and he more or less has to be broken out of that. He gets into some sort of like, you know uh past traumatic state in which he's almost held to do the same actions again, to try and pursue this girl again, as if it was back then him experiencing it for the first time. And thankfully, I think creatively it's cool that Sarah, through more or less completing a duo song with him, breaks him out of it and he's able to step away from it. So there's some really cool things that the movie does in exploration of past, and it really came down to the authors on how they want to depict it. All right, so Austin saying, this movie sounds like that one time where my homie Brian went to the fabric store. Plot twist, the fabric store was actually a Chinese restaurant and the General Tso cheeseburger was amazing, bro. Man, General Tso cheeseburger. That is very intriguing. It You may not be completely wrong. Like that sounds like a little combination of this movie and the original Freaky Friday, in which the Chinese restaurant owners were intentionally throwing the main characters into a hoodoo situation. But man, General Tso cheeseburger. Look, I'm all about the fusion food. I would try it once at least. I will try it once. So Genobi's saying it was most interesting when he walks into his childhood home and was his dad and had to walk to talk to his younger self. Yeah, that was actually pretty fascinating. So the movie didn't completely stick to only depicting their perspective. It does 90% of the time, but there is a scene in which he steps into what is it, like, I don't know, the 70s or something, and he winds up having a conversation with his father who is in the delivery room while he's being delivered by, via his mom and the doctors in another room, and he gets to have um a moment to really speak to his father about what he's feeling, what he's going through, having a child and for the first time. And yeah, um, played by Linklater. I'm forgetting the name of the actor. The actor from I almost said, oh yeah, Black Mass, Midnight Mass. The actor from Midnight Mass. Um, Guy who played Batman, voices Batman in the latest Batman animated, Caped Crusader. Hamish Linklater, I think. Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. That's probably what it was. That was actually fascinating. I think they even go into now. One can kind of make an argument of like, why is it that he's stepping into this? I don't know that he's another person at that time period, but that's the thing. Like, are these things literally happening? Maybe, maybe not. But it's cool that it's possible that he part of his growth in the present is understanding and speaking with people in the past. Like, it seems very much that they're trying to say his present life is all tangled up with into a ball of feelings and thoughts and unfinished moments uh, from the past there, or potentially even just needs to speak with, his father, who his father's, I think, Irish or Scottish, one of the two. Forgive me. I think, yeah, one of the two. And his mother is American, so he gets to speak with his foreign father, in which he maybe potentially connects a little bit more with, because he's perceived having an accent and all that stuff. So Shinobi saying, I'm talking about when he has to console his younger self. Oh, after the play, yes, yeah, yeah. So that was actually. Oh, yes, you said when he became the father. Yes. So there's talking to the father, and then later on, there's a scene in which he actually steps through a door, talks to his mother speaking to him, referring to him as her husband, her love, and he winds up being his father the night of the play in which he's totally destroyed by the girl that turns him down. And so he gets to have a conversation with him. And earlier in the film, and I think it's done well, early in the film, after that moment when he speaks with Sarah about after they've left the door of the high school and he's talking to her, he's like, you know what? I think the problem is, like, all of our parents wind up telling us that we're special when we're not special. I would, if I had the opportunity, I would tell my little self that you're not special, and you're you're a little fool, basically. I forgot which word he winds up using, but then he gets into that actual situation in which, by the end of his conversation with his younger self, he has a different perspective on it, And so when he's about to leave, he says, "Oh, and one more thing." And you're expecting him to say, "You're not special." He actually does say, "You're special still." So, I mean, that's look. That's the cool thing about The Doors and the way the movie is played out. It allows interesting romantic and even just emotional exploration depicted on screen, and for the characters to go through scenarios that you would not get in just a straightforward rom-com situation. And that's part of one of the things I enjoyed so much about it, including there's a cafe scene in which both characters were at the same cafe. I don't know if it was technically the same time, but they both have visited this cafe when they broke up slash left their last love. And David, he took his fiance there and told her that it was over because he chased her and the chase was amazing and it was fun, but then she somehow wound up being underwhelming, I think he says. And then Sarah's character brings a guy that she thought they were both just having a fun, amazing time, just being surface level with each other and not going deeper. And then lo and behold, he falls deeper once more. She goes there and ghosts him for the rest of life, basically. But it was cool that and how they depicted it. You know, they're at different tables. Then they kind of wind up almost talking to each other. Then they wind up being at the same type table, like talking as a group. Look, if you don't, if the movie didn't vibe for you, you can't say the movie didn't try to do some things creatively. And maybe someone might feel like, oh, it's too artsy fartsy. Maybe especially when they go to like a pitch black room in which it's just the two of them speaking with each other, kind of like in a mental plane sort of scenario situation. But I appreciated that, and I think that's why I'm saying this film is more for adults. Not that kids or high schoolers or something won't enjoy it. I'm sure there's some high school boys and girls that have watched this film and felt like it was the greatest thing in the world that they have ever experienced because it was so creatively executed. And it feels like a play. Honestly, the whole thing feels like it could have been a play. In addition to feeling like it could be an anime, it feels like it could be a play. But yeah, I think even if the film doesn't make you at every moment yearn for these characters to be with each other and to just love each other and accept each other, I think it does well enough to win that feeling over. Even if it doesn't do that at every moment. Um, you know what? Like I say with Austin, it did not commit the cardinal sin of being boring. Uh, that said, there is a level of almost excitement that the film could have that I don't think it necessarily ever fully achieves. And you know, it's kind of hard to really fully quantify that, but I think it's maybe best summed up in each of these characters have gone through so much, and they're both are like reserved in a way in how they're interacting with each other. Like they can be fun bantery on one level. I think there's a level of like they're in their shells. They're both in their shells for most of the movie, and it's not till maybe 2/3 in the middle, which and 2/3 into the movie, in which it feels like they're not. I mean, the high school scene does have some fun, you know, louder like vocal moments, but there's something about it that just feels kind of understated in its like overall vibe. Um, and so yeah, that could be probably my primary criticism as far as um, like how it felt to experience the movie. It felt more on the like dramatic kind of not depressing, but depressed. Like it feels like a movie that you would watch while you're kind of going through emotions. well, you might be a little bit depressed about things. You might wind up, yeah, vibing with it. Give me half a moment here. I have an unexpected doorbell ring. One second. All right, I'm back, guys. Turns out it was just a traveler through space time that took me on a 30-day journey. Um, I have a whole different understanding of this movie now. This movie's bad. This movie's terrible. Yeah, it's not worth your time. No, it's just hee hee ha ha. No, uh, that would be dope though. I mean, come on, guys. One of these days, hopefully, I will be visited. Oh my gosh, you're correct. Hopefully, yeah, yeah. You know what? Look, either it's gonna be space time traveler. It could be what's his face from, and it could be Ender from Ender's Game. That's taking me to another alternate universe to um, help humans ascend to the next level. It could be Paul Atreus that has completely destroyed any and all humanity and is somehow and for whatever reason going to have progeny with the sandworms. Oh Lord. Or yeah, or it could be just Chester Cheetah helping me out. But Austin is saying, so to be clear, this is definitely an AVP canon origin story. Yes, 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 yes. It turns out that this movie directly connects to Predator Badlands, in which there is the heavy hints that we're gonna get an AVP movie straight out of it. A big, bold, beautiful plasma bazooka. That's what this is. All right. Um. Yeah, like I was saying, uh, this and I can't think of the films that have put me in my feels in the same way. But over the years, there every now and then you come across a movie in which this was the movie that was like the perfect film for me to like feel what I'm feeling right now. You know, for some people, it's like it's what do you call it? Some people it could be what was yeah. Some people might be like, oh no, Pride and Prejudice. Some people much ado about nothing. People it could be How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Another person it could be Alien. You know, I'm sorry, I'm being a little too silly at the moment. I was just trying to say there are different movies that if you watch them in a certain mood, and for this movie, if you're kind of in like a more maybe melancholic mood is maybe kind of like the right description, you might be like, dang, this movie was hitting me in the right thought spots, and it's awesome. Um, and it's probably going to be more successful for those people than just like a general experience. But you know what? You guys tell me what you think. Austin's wondering, if there's a discussion of the three forms of hockey, you know what? That that would have elevated this film. You see, there are three different forms of hockey. The first form of hockey happens to be sorry, I don't want to spoil it that much. Is it like the Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind vibes? Yeah, I can kind of yeah. I think that probably is a pretty good um experience movie to experience that relates or connects to this one in how I'm discovering it. And I remember that being the case what is it, 20 years ago when I saw Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some other people it could be even 50 First Dates or something, you know. Um, no, for other people it could be um, what's it called? Let me see if I can find uh, one. Could be Your Name, the anime for some people. Crazy Rich Asians. Could be man. You know, I keep forgetting. What was the name of that one? That Chinese romance film that's like got that the aesthetic of, I don't know, the 50s or something, and you know, it's two adults that wind up finding out that their loved ones are in an affair with each other, and then they wind up potentially falling into an affair with each other as well. No, not so. Yeah, like you said, Matrice. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind vibe. Garden State. I actually don't know if I've seen Garden State, to be honest. So I couldn't really fully say that, but yeah, and I think you can get that well enough from the poster. I mean, the poster, maybe not fully. I mean, it's a darker poster. It almost gives you like Morton Salt vibes a little bit from the poster, maybe because the umbrella. Um, but the yeah, In the Mood for Love, yeah, that might be the one. And yeah, there's another. There's a bunch of others out there, that are similar, and so yeah, I would like Wong Kar Wai. Yeah, I would like to hear what you guys think about the film if you do watch it. I could just honestly ramble on more. Let me see if I can find one more thing to deliver to you guys about this film. Give me a half second to um, consider what my closing thought might be. And as much as I want the movies to succeed, movie theaters and studios to keep making things like this. I'd say if any of what I described to you, pre or post spoilers, answers to you, take a shot. Go to the movies and watch it. As I always say, if you especially have a pass, take advantage of that. Check it out. Leave yourself open to you want to be in a spot in which you're, like I'm describing, a little bit more mellow, potentially to open yourself up to the potential of having some getting something out of this movie. Um, yeah, yeah, guys, I think that's where I'm gonna leave it right now. Um, Glad to have watched the film. It's cool that a friend got to work on the project. I do actually want more films like this in which people are trying something. And I do completely understand if someone is like, this movie feels a little too pretentious. Hmm, I can understand a little, but I don't think it does that as much as it could. I think it feels more like people are trying to be a little more creative in how they tell a story of two older people getting to know each other and seeing if they want to pursue things more than just momentary interaction or a platonic relationship. So that I think will bring me to the end of today. Yeah, this is a shorter one. I guess I almost still wound up taking an hour, which for us is on the shorter side overall. But yeah, thank you, Genobi, Austin, Matrice, everybody else for joining me on this. Um, we will be seeing Austin again in person. I'll be able to bounce things back and forth off of him again very soon. I think we'll be either covering F1 potentially this week, potentially next Monday. We'll let you know. Yeah, stay connected with us through Instagram to be able to see when we throw up all the alerts for when that's going to happen. I actually just rewatched it yesterday with my wife. She's seen it for the first time yesterday. I have fresh thoughts about it and perspectives on it. And then, yeah, as far as what might happen, what might we do next week as far as new movies go? I don't know. Maybe, let me see. Let me see. I'll have to figure it out with Austin, but I don't know. Things maybe one battle after another. Um, maybe I don't know. Looks like It's back in theaters, Dead of Winter. Looks like we got a few different options. Oh man, Girl Who Left Through Time. That was cool. That's back in theaters. Good Boy. No, that's the week after. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. It might just wind up being F1. Um, oh yeah, last thing Austin was saying. This is the kind of love story that's only possible when you discover that you can save up to 15% by switching to Geico. Oh man, that sponsorship coming through for us every time. So good. Oh, so okay, Janobi, you want to know, are there any movies I'm looking forward to before the year ends? Yeah, look, uh, I'm a simple man when it comes to movies sometimes. Sometimes I'm not. That's all of us, right? So I am like morbidly curious about Tron Ares. I part of me feels like yes, jumping the shark, going to the real world. Yes, Jared Leto is cool, but then sometimes a little too try hard in his films. Anyways, I love the Tron aesthetic, so we're gonna give it a shot. I think I'm looking forward to look. There's a movie called, like I just said, Good Boy. Uh, I don't know much about it besides it seems to be kind of like a horror story slash a dog movie. So I think that's kind of a cool sounding mishmash of a horror movie, but then your main character is a dog, and it's kind of like a dog film. Um, I talked to some people, and as long as the dog is not killed by the end of that movie, I'm sure it could be really fun. Uh, Also looking forward to. I mean, there's Avatar, Fire and Ash. Look, continue to say the same old things we all say about the stories for those movies, especially the first one. Say it. Say it a million times. Keep on saying it. Fine. We'll probably mention it also. Unoriginal story. He's pushing his economic perspective and concerns. Not economic. Environmental uh, perspective, and which he already told us. Each movie is basically some sort of environmental cause. Curious to see which this one will be. I had fun. I have fun with these movies. They're beautiful to look at. They're really cool in 3D. Um, I do wind up liking the animation quite a bit. I think. Look, James Cameron may not be an amazing individual to speak with and hang out with. I don't know. He could be the best. Could be the worst. He seems to kind of do what he wants to do, which I think is cool in one regard. But he also does wind up pushing for the cinematic medium in a few different ways. If it's not CG and camera work, it's one thing or another. Uh, Fire and Ash. It looked like I did see the trailer that we potentially finally have a like Navi native villain. And so the last two just kept on being the humans. I'm sure it'll be the humans to some degree again. But if they actually are doing a native Pandora native villain, I'm intrigued by that. And I want to see how much they'll be depicting the fire, lava and all that stuff. I mean, the last ones they're like you're like immersed in the element, whether it's air, which I guess is technically the first one, or water, which is the second one. I'm like, how are they going to be immersed in fire and lava? I don't know. Maybe there's some fire walking lava Navi out there that's going to be really cool to see. Mm, anything else? Anything else? Here, let me pull up. Let me pull up a bigger list. Genobi helping me out in talking about what cool is coming up. Let's see, movies of 2025. Uh, coming soon. Black Phone 2. I thought the first one was cool to watch. Anaconda, maybe. Zootopia. Look, I love the first Zootopia. Um, I've only seen a few trailers. As I tell people, I'm a major sucker for Disney snakes. I think they animate snakes incredibly well, and they can have a ridiculous amount of character expressed through snakes. So I'm very curious about that. Love Judy and Nick. Think they're both like more or less perfectly casted actors for those roles. Uh, oh, there's a Now You See Me sequel. Uh, maybe SpongeBob. Search for SquarePants. Mm. Oh yeah, I did mention Predator Badlands. But I thought Prey was really cool. Um, and I thought Alien. Well, it's separate. My wife and I just watched on Hulu over the course of like summer here and there. There's a Predator animated film called Killer of Killers. I think it's on Disney Plus as well. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's more or less like a series of like three or four stories set in different time periods in which predators are hunting like the top killers, the top warriors of the day, and then it kind of sort of comes together. Done very well, and that director directed Badlands and Prey, and he said with that movie, with Killer of Killers, he's like setting up things that will then pay off in Badlands, and spoilers. I think there's a third Predator movie he's gonna do after Badlands. So yeah, sucker for the franchise. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. First one's okay. Running Man. Oh yeah, that's definitely a must watch. Big fan of Edgar Wright. He does some really really cool movies. Mortal Kombat. Morbidly curious. The first one not great, but Kano and a couple other characters were really actually pretty fun. One battle after another, maybe. That's kind of film that's hit or miss for me. Ah, yes. And probably, oh, is there a Chainsaw Man movie coming out? Oh, it's an arc. Okay. Chainsaw Man. Pretty dope. We'll have to try that out. Man, yeah, there's a series of ones. The last one though, I will say, and it's I guess the big one. Wicked for Good. Look, y'all, enjoyed that first movie. As you know, love musicals. Think they did an incredible job with the first one. Love it, hate it. You can't deny the singing winds up being incredible. The sets wind up being cool. The costuming, all that stuff wind up being fun. Performances are good. I was pleasantly surprised. You can go back and hear my thoughts. Pleasantly surprised by a number of things in the first one. So they filmed this one at the same time as the first one. So you got the like Lord of the Rings kind of continued experience that I think will express itself through the film as well. Yeah, incredibly cool, and it's probably gonna be like by I don't know, probably gonna be like by $300 or $400 the highest grossing film this year. Not that it's all about the money, just funny aside to point out. But we definitely will be covering that film. So come back and yeah, as always, we are live. Thank you everyone for joining in with the conversation, chopping it up with me. we will continue to do this. Either later this week at some time, next Monday, for sure, we're going to come back. So, yeah. Thank you all for joining. We have been and in the comments have been the Super Cinema Bros. We love coming and hanging out with you guys and talking about films. Look, we're already watching movies. We wanna talk to you all about the movies also and say our thoughts about them. And look, challenge us if you want. Our word is the end. It's the final word. So if you want to know the final word on any of these films, we'll tell you what it is. Nah, anyways, yeah, it's a good one. I'll catch you guys very soon. Yeah, look out again on Instagram for when the next time we're going up. Yeah, thank you for everyone for participating with me in chat. And I'm sorry, I'm pointing this way because my chat's over here. Thank you, and yeah, I'll see you again. God bless you guys. Yeah, pray for Austin and his family, and we'll see you very soon. All right? Peace, guys.